going to get this thing coming through loud and clear. I'm glad that we got the phone lines tonight and we gonna do this thing and shine bright. I'm tight. Actually, I'm just a little mad, but I'm going to make sure at the end I'm feeling glad and I'm not sad about nothing front, not for nobody. I'm going to light this thing up like a hot toddy. And it's going to be warm and we going to do this thing like the bees kill the bees swarm. What's up with y'all? How you feeling, yo? Everything is going okay. Yo, you feel it though? I know I do when I'm down with y'all and y'all down with the crew. What's the crew? Who are we talking about? How are we going about this thing? Do you have your doubts? You can't always be sure about everything, but we're gonna talk about some night things. The kings, the queens, they are on the scenes, and we gonna make this thing happen by any means. Tonight on the Daily Go Get 'Em show, we are talking about do you have to make more than your parents did? Do you have to make more than your parents did? And it's not really about, well, it is. It's about the finances, but not just the finances. Do you need to do better in life than your parents did? Now, before you start looking at it like a competition or something like that, it almost sounds logical to me that each generation should be a little bit better than the last generation. I mean, it shows growth. It shows development. It shows how you are going into the future. Time keep on slipping. Yeah, into the future. Well, when you think about the way that your parents raised you, you know, if they struggled a lot when you was coming up, don't you want to do better than that for you and your kids? Don't you want to do better than that just for yourself? You know, money is not everything. But it can be the one thing that makes you feel like you never made it, or that it can be the one thing that really makes life feel like a struggle every day. And we all have to struggle, but we don't all have to struggle that way. I don't think that we should all be struggling just to pay our bills, just to keep a roof over our head, just to, you know, keep our heads above water. You know what I mean? So if you watch your parents go through that, naturally, you would want to do better than that. You're not trying to outdo your parents, not on a malicious level. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with wanting to do as well as your parents, do better than your parents. If your parents did well for themselves, if they always made sure that the heat was on, that the water was running, that the lights were on, that you had money to go on vacations, that you had pocket money, lunch money, to spend on gifts, souvenirs and stuff like that when you went on school trips. Maybe you never had to miss a school trip. Maybe your parents were super supportive, you know, got you involved in extracurricular activities and involved themselves. Made sure that they were there and that you could count on them. Wouldn't you want to do that the same thing for your kids? But is it important for you to do a little bit better? A little bit better. Like maybe they made it hot. Maybe you want to make it a little bit hotter. And your parents will probably encourage you to do that because they, you know, your parents might be very, very, very proud of you. Now, I'm not going to paint all parents with the same brush. No, shut it up. Yeah, as a matter of fact, hush, because some parents be hating and waiting for you to fail, calling you all kinds of names out there like jail is your only thing that is in your future. And some parents out there want to stab you and future is crazy. Yo, energetic, lazy, they almost 80 and still acting like the crazy lady from back in the day. He is the one that almost took you out. You don't want to do that to your same kids. Yo. All right, so is it important though? Because we can start this from the ground and take it all the way to the top. Is it in parents? Is it important for you to do better than your parents did? If your parents worked at IBM, is it important for you to work at Apple? Because you know IBM ain't IBM no more. IBM is like what they call it, Lenovo. You know what I mean? Things had to change hands. Apple is one of those companies that started off Apple, still Apple, and it'll probably be Apple. Brandon Stacks, what's good, man? Thanks for coming on through. I appreciate you. You know that I do appreciate you mucho. Thanks for coming through. Friday night, y'all. Friday night. the 22nd of November, first day of Sagittarius. Everybody watch out for those arrows. Watch out for the arrows. It's going to be a bumpy, crazy ride for the next 30 days. And I hope that y'all give the one the praise. Yo, it's about to get a little hot. We about to heat up the spot and get crazy. Yo, the watts of this thing, electric. It's like the ohms. And I'm trying to tell you to watch out for yourself, Holmes. So that's what we talking about tonight. Do you need to make more than your parents? Should you be making more than your parents? How much money did your parents make? How many of y'all went to private schools growing up? Catholic schools, Christian schools, whatever. Back in the day. See, I'm a 70s kid. So I remember a day when you could send your kids to private school. You could send your kids to Catholic school, which is private school. Even if you lived in the projects, I knew people who could have. That phenomenon till this day still baffles me. Like, so let me get this straight. You live in the projects, a housing project, and you go to a Catholic school. You and your sisters and brothers. Y'all live in public housing, but y'all can afford to go to parochial schools. Well, how does that work? I'll tell you how it works. It works the way it worked. It works the way that it went down. It went down how it went. And, so if one thing I've noticed about kids who went to Catholic schools, they want their kids to go to Catholic schools too, especially the ones who graduated from Catholic schools. You can't tell them nothing about no public school. They not trying to hear that. I went to Catholic school. I ain't going to no public schools. Not my kids. Yo, they be like, nah. So whatever way that they have to make in order for their children to go to Catholic schools, they normally do it. They make that way. You might be cut from that cloth. Catholic schools had subsidies. They had, like, if you were part of the church, they would make a way for you to be able to send your kids there. It was simple as that. It ain't like that no more. A whole lot of things have happened with the church, with the Catholic Church, and most of those schools that existed when I was growing up are gone. More than half of them. There used to be a Catholic school in every single neighborhood, one or two of them. Now, it used to be one or two of them. Now there ain't a few of them. They have died out like a typewriter. And I say, what happened to all of the St. Mary's? They shit went down, burned in the barn like Carrie in the prom. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sorry, T. Carrie, right? You know that I'm just making a reference. It don't have nothing to do with you, but you understand what I'm talking about. So give me a shout. So yeah. Is it important for you to do better than your parents? Man, when I thought about this show, and when I thought about this question, I thought like, dang. For me, it is. I want to make more money than my parents made, but they made good money. They really did. And I could look at it in a way that I could look at it like they made good money, but they made good money at a time when good money spent a certain type of way. Like, good money nowadays is really six figures. Good money nowadays is six figures. You can't make it off of the same type of money that you used to make before. Like, if you made $20,000 in 1980, you were doing hella good. If you made $20,000 in 1980, you were doing hella good. You make $20,000 right now, you are below the poverty line, I believe. Like, you struggling. Like, it might be hard for you to find an affordable apartment to live in. You may have to live in public housing. If you only make $20,000. And I'm not trying to diss, but $20,000 is basically these days what you might be trying to bring in for a part-time job. Real shit. That's what we're looking at nowadays. The cost of living is through the roof, and the quality of living is different, way different than it was before. Well, you know how they say the more things change, the more they stay the same. So, but the same don't look the same. The same don't feel the same. So is it important for you to do better than your parents did? Is it important for you to make more than your parents did? I think you should strive for that. If your parents raised you in a big house, you're probably going to want a big house, where everybody has their own room. If your parents made a way for y'all not to be having to be on bunk beds and all of that shit, not that there's anything wrong with bunk beds. Don't get me wrong. But you know what? And I hate to say this, but sometimes bunk beds remind me of jail because that's where you see the most bunk beds. Are we preparing our children for jail if we make them sleep in bunk beds? Every child gets their own room. No bunk beds nowhere. Bunk beds are for company. When your cousin can't come over to stay, play with your toys and whatever, then y'all can utilize the bunk beds. Other than that, you know what I mean? Every sibling should have their own room. It's not always like that. But if your parents were hustlers, then you probably are going to be a hustler. And I don't mean an illegal hustler. I mean, if your parents got out there and made sure that they made the money, that they took care of it, handled their business and did whatever they had to do in order to make ends meet, and they did it well, then you're probably going to try to do the same thing. And you may try to do it on a higher level, in a better way. What up, Naturalista Rap? What's good, ma? How you feeling? Naturalista Rap says, if you make $20,000, you are definitely going to get the highest tax return. Ain't that some shit? But what a life. So you only on the come up in January and February? I'm not feeling it. Ant 777 says, what's good, son? What's good, Ant, man? Glad to see you coming on through. Appreciate y'all to the highest. You know what I'm saying? To the highest, man. But yeah. Yo, $20,000? Like I said, in 1980, that was the cost of a Seville. A Cadillac Seville. And that was the most expensive Seville that you could buy at the time. So that's what we was working with. That's what we was dealing with. That's how we was carrying it. That's what we was doing. Nowadays, you ain't even getting 1/8 of a Seville. They don't even have the Seville. They got the STS. Let's see. How much does a Cadillac STS cost these days? Because I have to admit, I have no idea. How much is the 2024 Cadillac STS? Well, American cars. Okay. They might not have the STS because all I'm seeing is the CT5. That's all I'm seeing. Cadillac ST4. And it says from 38,395. Okay. He said there isn't much info about the price of a 2024 Cadillac STS, but here's some information about other Cadillac models. So they probably discontinued the STS. Okay. The Cadillac STS, short for Seville Touring Sedan, was a mid-sized luxury sedan produced by General Motors from 2004 to 2011. Okay, so they stopped making it. Okay. So I guess the CTS is the Cadillac touring sedan. Touring sedan, I guess. All right. Okay. Well, let's do this. 2025. I'm sorry. Okay, 2025 Cadillac CT5 Premium is $60,930. So, all right, so 60,000. So, if you make $20,000 a year, you ain't even putting the down payment on that. You can't do it, son. You can't do it, son. Hey, you're saying you can't do it. You can't do it. But anyway, the cost of living is just not conducive to you not making that kind of money. It's just not conducive. It's going to be hard for you. So if your parents did well for themselves when you were coming up, you're going to want to follow that example. You may not be trying to be in competition with them. You might not even want to beat them, but you probably want to match that. Especially if your parents showed love too, and they taught you things, and they pointed you in the right direction. Now, there's the other side of it. You might have been brought up in the projects, and you might have seen your parents struggle hard. You might have been brought up in a single parent family and watch your mom really, really try to, just keep food on the table, keep the rent paid. Or some of y'all know how this is. When you gotta move all the time, you always moving, different schools all the time, different friends all the time. You know what I mean? Like when you think about what neighborhood you grew up in, you gotta pick a neighborhood because y'all was always moving. Mom couldn't keep up with the rent. It be like that sometimes. Sometimes y'all was staying at your grandmother's house. Sometimes y'all was staying with your aunt for a little while. Sometimes y'all moved in with a dude that mommy was messing around with for a little while. Moving constantly, maybe once a year until y'all finally got stable. I've known people who did it. Even nowadays, still have no stability in their lives. Moving constantly. And one thing about when you move a lot, you lose a lot because you can't take everything that you accumulated. So you be giving shit away, selling shit, leaving shit behind, always getting new shit. You know what I mean? You can look at it any kind of way you want to, not necessarily trying to judge it, but it is what it is. We can't make it be what we want it to be. But when you grow up in an environment like that, never being able to call a place where you live your home because y'all gotta always be ready to go. Today, when you come home from school, could be the day when your mom is like, all right, start packing, we about to move, or we moving next month, so get ready for that. Get all your friends' phone numbers and stuff like that. They can come see us at the new place. You know what I mean? So you probably don't want to do that. That's probably not what you want to do when you grow up and you start doing your own shit. So you probably want to do better than that for you and your kids when you have your own. You don't want to be moving all the time. I don't even know how people do it. Moving is a pain in the ass. People don't be wanting to help you. You know what I'm saying? You know how it is. You know how niggas is, man. We be having to move in trash bags, find somebody with a flatbed truck. You know what I'm saying? Yo, can you help me with the truck? You know what I'm saying? I can give you a couple of dollars. Yeah. You know what I mean? Making sure you don't mess up their paint because they're not going to help you again. And people who be having a truck, who be helping you move, they don't be wanting to help you move. They just want to train. Like, listen, I'm just driving. Whoever you got to help you, you know what I mean? Like, they help you. I'm just make sure y'all don't scratch my shit up, whatever. I'm just picking up, dropping off. How many trips you think this gonna make? You lying. Oh, well, all I got is this, that, and the third, so we should be able to do this in no more than 3 trips. That means like 5 or 6 trips. Yeah, that's what that means. At least you're not leaving all your stuff behind. But you probably want to do better than that. And you should want to. Oh, DK Wright says, yep, ghetto Christmas time. Hunk Sports, what's good? What's good? Ant 777 says we making money but hardly see it because all these monthly payments. Try to save up but end up taking some out. But I'm glad I get to that. I'm glad to get to that. Some people out here ain't got shit, but it's their decision. I can't argue with that, and that's exactly right. And that's what I'm talking about. And says, well, out here in the USA, other countries is different in some ways. Well, struggle is struggle. Poverty is poverty. Being broke is being broke. And it don't even matter how much money you make. If you don't make enough to live off of what you make, it don't matter if you make 5 figures or 6 figures. If your lifestyle is above what you get paid, then you struggling. And I know people who make 6 figures ain't never got no money. I know people who make 6 figures and ain't never got no money. Meanwhile, I know people who make $60,000, $70,000 and they stay paid. Why? Because they don't live above their means. They not trying to ball out. They save. They plan they shit. They hustle a little bit on the side. Sell shit. You know what I mean? Mid-level marketing. Shake their ass on the internet. They try to get some money. $40. Shorty getting 40. Shorty getting 40. She be shaking the ass on Instagram. She naughty. And them niggas thinking they gonna get some internet ass. Some of them get some ass, but she be out fast. She ain't trying to get pregnant. Got a leg up on the competition, but the shorty is on a mission. She do CNA work during the daytime and take off her clothes at night. The kids don't know about it, right? Hey, you know how it go. You gotta make the end meet the best way you can do it and let it show. Yo, you know how it be. Yo, she a CNA in the daytime from 7 to 7. She get off at 7. From 11 to 7, she doing the pole. And you know the pole. She strip on the pole. Sometimes it ain't no pole. She put a Coke bottle in a hole. And it's taking the toll all up on the mental. But you gotta do what you gotta do when you don't have no dental, because you ain't got those kind of benefits at your job, no vision, no health benefits. They're trying to rob. You ain't trying to be out here committing no crime. So you get all of the money you got out of your behind. Hey, I ain't judging for the second, my friend, but your mom ain't have to do that shit. Did she? All right. I don't know, man. I mean, we have to find a way. Make sure y'all hit the like button, y'all. Do me that. Hit the like button when you come in here. We're going to have this conversation right here. This year, we a little bit light, but it's going to be all right as long as I get through these 2 hours and get through the night. Hit the like button. Share the show. Let's flood this thing. Let's get dressed. Let's do everything. Let's get dressed. Let's do that. Hold on, y'all. Let's get dressed. Hold on. All right, wait. All right, let me do this. Let me get my struggle beads. Let me get the struggle beads. Hopefully, struggle beads turn into anti-struggle. I ain't trying to struggle. We all got to struggle. Am I blind? Oh, there we go. All right. Get my shit. Get my struggle bones. Struggle bones. I got my struggle bones. Yo, leave me alone. Yo, leave your message at the sound of the tone, like a box back in the day. You say, hey, I'm not here, but leave a message. Had something to say. All right, which one y'all want to wear? Please hurry up. Don't take all day, because y'all be taking too long. Y'all be taking too long sometimes. It ain't all y'all fault, but y'all be taking too long. Which one y'all want to wear? The one on the, I said the one on the left. The one in the middle. or the one on the right? Which one y'all want to wear? The one on the right. This is the one on the right. This is the one on the right. This is the one on the right. Or the one in the middle. One in the middle. One in the middle. One in the middle. Huh? 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 Ooh. Or the one on the left. All right, Ant says the one on the right. Is that what we going with? Come on, y'all, don't take all day. We ain't got all day, son. All right, fuck it. We gonna do the one on the right. Boom. Since y'all don't want to say nothing, y'all want to be slow. Y'all know it's a delay on here, but Ant had it. So there you go. There we go. Let's take this screenshot. Take this screenshot. See what we looking like. Let's see what we looking like, huh? Okay. Look good to me. Look good to me. Everybody's looking all right. You got on your struggle bones tonight. And you all right. Ladies, y'all looking good. Looking sweet. Looking lovely. Looking pretty. Looking beautiful. Y'all looking awfully snacky. Looking awfully snacky. Everybody want to eat. Fellas, y'all looking handsome, looking suave, looking debonair, looking smooth. Y'all got on y'all soft stuff tonight. Yeah. If y'all got a couple of dollars and you know that, she gonna want to see you and holler. That's what I'm talking about. So let's get it popping, man. Let's get it pop. Get it pop. Get yeah. Come on, y'all. Yeah. 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 Y'all a little quiet tonight. That's all right. Come on. All right. Are y'all ready? Because y'all seem a little cold tonight. Y'all a little cold. We too light to be cold. We too light to be cold. We got to warm up a little bit. We got to warm up a little bit. We talking about some hot shit tonight. Do you need to make more than your parents did? Do you need to make more money than your parents did? Dominic Jimenez. What's good? J Dub, FTBS. Oh, it was FTBS. Like, what's that? J Dub, fuck the bullshit. Kane Nero Legion, but I got nothing. I don't know what to talk about, but it's okay. Thanks for coming on through. Is it important? Do you need to make more money than your parents did? Like, just from the cost of living, what it costs just to be able to pay rent or have a mortgage, drive a car, be able to buy clothes, shopping, food on the table. Everything is way more expensive than it was back in the day. So we have to do a lot more things to make ends meet. We have to be creative with the way that we make money. Where your parents may have been able to get it popping with just one stream of income, maybe just them having a job. They may have had a job good enough and held the job long enough for them to have saw the changes in the industry and for them to level up and maybe move up to a higher position. You know what, man? First of all, yo, what up, my people? Seika Sala, all up in the house. My people, Seika Sala was good. Was good. All right, hold on. Seika Sala says, my parents come from another country and they got careers, car, house in less than 2 years when they arrived. But that was in the 70s. Now I make more than they did, but I had all the advantages they didn't. That's what's up, though. That sounds like a success story to me. Dominic Jimenez says, I say yes, in today's economy, renting is way too damn expensive in the US, depending on where you live. Like if you live in big cities where there's a lot of gentrification, yeah, the rent is off the chain. I live in Philly. I was born and raised in Philly. So this has never been a city where anything was like super expensive. We don't come from that. It's a blue collar town. The biggest employer of people in Philly is the transit company, SEPTA. SEPTA employs more people than any other industry in this city. So that lets you know we straight blue collar. Now they pay well, but you gotta have a CDL. Well, you don't have to have a CDL because they have other jobs that you can do besides driving a bus or a train or a trolley or whatever. But nonetheless, it lets you know where our economy is. So we ain't like New York, where we have the stock exchange and all that. We have people here who paid. Don't get me wrong. I know plenty of people who made decent money, like really, really good money. But if you think about the whole, the whole and the soul of the city, our biggest supplier of employment, our biggest employer is the transit company. We are blue collar. So we not used to no high ass rent. We getting used to it now though. When I hear these young cats, these 20-something year olds, these 30-something year olds talking about something, yeah, my rent is like $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. I'm like, what? There was a time you could live anywhere in the city that you wanted for that money. Real shit. You could live in a mini mansion in the city for that. Times have changed. When I see these houses, these little row homes, 200, 300, 400,000. I'm like, almost $500,000 for it. What? Nah, we don't come from that. But that's what we're working with now. All right. Seika Sala says, I feel you should with foreign parents. I feel you should with any parents. Now, sure, you don't come from another country to struggle, but it's not like it doesn't happen. Not everybody who comes from other countries come here and do really well. Some do, some don't. But the immigrant situation, there's a whole lot of conversation we can have about that. But you know how it goes. Some people, like if you're an undocumented worker, you don't even have the luxury of making too much money because you got to fly under the radar a little bit. You know what I mean? You might have to work at the car wash for a little bit, you know, work under a contractor for a little bit, making way less than you should make because people are taking advantage of you because they know that you just trying to escape deportation and ICE and all that old bullshit. But you know, J Dub says, you the only motherfucker to actually understand what fuck the bullshit what FTBS means. My brother, it ain't hard to understand. You know what I mean? The more we on social media, we gotta we gotta understand some things. But thanks for coming through. Yeah, look up those names I sent to you. You sent me, where'd you send them? Where'd you send them? B Sosa, what religion are you? Why? Just wondering what the symbol above the head is. It's a sun. That's all it is. That's a sun. That's all it is. And Ahmed Hassan says, read the Quran, dude. Why? Not that I haven't read it, and not that I'm against reading it, because I'm not. But why? 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 I'm seriously, I'm curious. You know, like coming on here asking about religion and all of that. How come? Because this show is about, do you need to make more money than your parents did? So how do we get off to religion? Just curious. Just curious. But we can talk about that. Like if your parents brought you up, if they brought you up in the church, if they brought you up in the mosque, if they brought you up in the temple, if they brought you up in the synagogue, if they brought you up in the temple, whatever, like, you know, do you have an obligation? Do you feel an obligation to raise your children that way? If your parents brought you up in a kingdom hall for Jehovah's Witnesses, like, you know, do you see the need to walk in their footsteps? But this is bigger than walking in your parents' footsteps. I'm asking, do you need to level up? Do you feel compelled to level up, to not only duplicate what your parents did if they did well, but to make sure that you capitalize on that, magnify it, amplify it, raise the roof, open the sky? J Dub says, God bless my brother. We all fighting demons. One God, one love. I'm gonna hit you with a sub. Well, I appreciate that, my dude. You hit me up with a sub. I got something for you. Yeah, you think I don't when I do? I got something for you. I got the. Appreciate you. Thanks for the sub. Thanks for joining the club. Thanks for the sub. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the sub. Thanks for joining the club. Thanks for the sub. Thanks for joining the club. Yo, I appreciate each and every person that latches on. And I'm not saying that you all upon me and I ain't all upon you. But what we do is we try to build this community and we gonna do it too. And we gonna make sure that we maximize the effort. And I ain't never gonna stop. You can call the cops, but I ain't breaking no laws. But I put pause on anybody that I have to defend against and rinse that shit off, just like the blood on my fist. And if I have to really go in your mouth, well, I'm gonna knock you out. But ain't it all about no violence. I don't move in silence. You can hear me coming, and I never go out there bumming. I ain't asking for no money, ain't shaking no pot for change. I'ma rearrange the things if they ain't going right in my life. And I'm always making for my rights. I'll fight, and I fight for my kids, and I fight for my wife, and I fight for my mom, and I fight for my pops. And I'm never gonna stop. And until the sun drops and it's cold out this bitch, I'ma try to get rich. But they ain't all all about the money, but don't get me wrong. It ain't funny when you're broke and can't even afford no smoke. And you asking, can you bum a joint or somebody else? Well, you got to get out there and hustle and try to increase your wealth and do something for yourself, your mental and your physical health. And I'm going to tell you that the health is wealth, nigga. Yo, I'm bigger and I'm never pulling triggers. I ain't got to be out here in the streets, but everybody I meet, they are affected by the things I constructed and erected. And I'm putting that shit in the sky so I can buy something for my peoples and make sure they maximize. And you can see the real passion in my eyes. Do I despise anybody that comes through? Well, if they did it to me, then they'll probably do it to you. So I'm going to give you a warning. Yo, this morning, what is it? 144. Well, we gonna go for more for sure. I'm never ever on tour, but when I get my tour bus, I'm still crush it just like a grape. I have it in my hands, and my hands are strong. So all day long, I'm still increasing my strength and going the length. And I'm a count from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the 10th. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right. Dominic, hold on. I think hold on. I think my I got a feeling my my chat on this device that went out. Okay. Dominic Jimenez says, stars are what birthed the universe. We are made of stardust, aka the materials such as metals that are released when the sun dies under its own gravity. The sun is beautiful. Yo, that is dope. It's dope and it's deep. And I feel that. TK Wright says, I wanted to make what my dad did. Okay. Or more. Okay. Varshay McDonald, what's good? Good to see you, Ma. Good to see you. And Sekasala says, I feel this generation lacks discipline. Imagine coming to another country and learning the language and culture and still being able to be successful. No excuses, in my opinion. Well, it's not about excuses. You know, sometimes people can take advantage of opportunities. And some people are never groomed, never conditioned, never taught to take advantage of opportunities. Sometimes some people, and I can only say this because I've seen it with my own eyes, are actually taught not to take advantage of opportunities, not to seize the day and try to make things better, not to go back and analyze yourself and make a determination on how you can improve things. Not everybody is taught that. But when you are taught that, it's something that will never leave you. So it's hard. It's going to be hard for you to be taught a better way and how to increase your potential. It's going to be hard for you to learn those things and not pass them on to your kids. It's going to be very, very difficult. And I'm glad it's going to be difficult. But what about all of it? Listen, man, you know, when you come from a city like Philly, a city like New York, a city like Newark, a city like Camden, a city like Chicago, LA, what other cities? Baltimore. I'm trying to think about some of the more popular cities that are kind of rough. Oakland, even down south, you know, Atlanta. Atlanta's always been like sort of like a black Mecca, but it hasn't always been like it is today. But anyway, when you grow up in places like that, you are exposed to a lot of poverty. And you can be exposed to poverty to the point where you think that that's the way it's supposed to be. I used to rent out houses, man. I used to rent out houses and we was getting money. That's what my dad taught me to do. Buy a bunch of houses, rent them out, and, you know what I mean, be the landlord getting that guap every month. And we was getting that. I've been inside of a lot of houses. I've heard candid conversations that were not taking place. These conversations wouldn't take place out in the streets. So I've been in enough houses and heard how people talk to themselves. I've heard people fucking. Like straight up. We in there fixing shit, putting in toilets, fixing walls, fixing roofs and shit. And they in there fucking. I've seen him, like I've heard how the whole thing materialized. Going from arguments, toxicity shit. Oh, get your ass in the bedroom then. All right. That kind of shit. And I'm only saying that because I've heard intimately how people are taught, how kids are raised in the home. So I know and I understand how some don't get it. So it's not an excuse. There's a difference between an excuse and a reason. There are reasons for some things. It's only an excuse when you tried and didn't try hard enough. It's a reason when you never even got a chance to get in the race. It's different. It's different. But I do believe that you should always want to do better than those who came before you. If you can admire those who came before you, or you could really, if you could really criticize those who came before you, then why aren't you trying to do better? Honestly, I wish I was half the hustler that my dad was. And you know what? To be honest with you, he had to because he had a lot of kids. He had double-digit children with a bunch of different baby moms. So he had to get out. Well, he felt like he had to get out there and make that money. I got one biological child, so I ain't really gonna do it. His pie was cut in a lot of different slices. And I'm like, yeah, look, you had a whole pizza to yourself. You know what I mean? Real shit. Real shit. It didn't make me lazy because I'm definitely not that. But I don't have the same kind of motivation. There's no sink or swim necessarily. Still want to make more money. But he made good money. All right. Sega Salad says, I feel it. Okay, wait. Ant says, good night, y'all. Would love to stay, but it got a long day coming tomorrow. Got a long day tomorrow. Peace, love, and positivity. Well, I feel the same way to you, my brother. Yo, man, do your thing. You know what I mean? Hustle hard, do your thing, and be prosperous. Appreciate you. Appreciate you mucho. And that means a lot. Yeah, man. So, but yeah, I mean, shit is real out here. But should you want to, have to, be compelled to, be obligated to make more than your parents did? Listen. My dad, I want to tell y'all something because I keep wanting to bring this shit up because this shit depressed me in a way. I was watching Good Times yesterday. Fucking Good Times. And in this episode, James, what up, Emily? James Evans was supposed to get this union job. And, it was going to be a come up for him. So he was going to get a job, a union job, a laborer or something like that. He was going to finally make some decent dough to whereas they could do better living in Cabrini Green projects. So they had this party for James, this celebration party. So, because James was going to get this job, he was finally going to move on up and everything was going to be all right. They had the party for him. James came home and had to announce to everybody that he didn't get the job. And what was the reason he didn't get the job? Y'all probably saw this episode. He didn't get the job. Something about some qualifications or some shit like that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, nigga, you couldn't get a union job? He wasn't getting no job at Xerox, IBM. He wasn't getting a job at the New York Stock Exchange. A union job? A chance to use a jackhammer, dig a hole, ride a backhoe? Huh? You can't learn a trade? I was like, this show, even though I used to love Good Times, I'm like, man, when I watch that shit nowadays, I watch it with a different set of eyes. And during the show, after he had the, he came in the party, he was looking all disheveled and distraught. And he told everybody I didn't get the job. And everybody's like, oh damn, Jane, So he's in the bedroom talking to Florida, and he's talking about how yeah, I didn't get the job, but we still all right, like we was broke yesterday, we broke today. And I was like, this ain't no kind of message, man. This ain't no kind of fucking message. And y'all gonna have to excuse me for a few minutes because I'm about to get on some shit. Because all right, first of all, you take a show like Good Times. Now they had a 2-parent family. Now a lot of us black men, black children, we grow up in single parent families, and they say that that's the problem. We growing up in single parent families, and we don't have any male influence in the home, and so we being raised by women, and men are being raised by women, and that's why we act like bitches and out here and all of this kind of stuff, and we struggling, and we don't, all this shit. And I'm like, well, on Good Times, even though it's just a TV show, they had a lot of life lessons in that shit. I'm like, so they were in 2-parent family, and this man can't get a union job. I don't care what kind of education you got. That's what the union is for. That's what the union is for. It should always be easy for somebody should be able to get you in the union. Just as a laborer. Listen, you're going to break your back for a few months, but then we're going to teach you how to actually do something. We can get you trained. It's a labor union. That's what they do. They train you to be able to work. They fight for your rights. They get you paid. You pay your dues. So I'm looking at this shit like, what kind of bullshit is this? And then you make an excuse for not finishing the job. You got 3 kids. You got 3 kids, and they all still live in the home. And then this episode went off like it was sweet like that. Meanwhile, in the party was getting started before he came home. They was drinking champagne, and they had food. They had food. They celebrate him. He about to get this money. So whatever money he had before he got the job, he told them to spend it. This is the part I want to talk about. Now, a lot of men have told me that the reason why women are the way they are today is because the reason that they talking about all this independent women shit is because back in the day, men had to get put out of the house because women was getting welfare. And at least as far as the black welfare recipients were concerned, the social worker used to come out to your house. And if they saw men's clothing in the house, then you would lose your food stamps, lose your check or whatever. And this is a lot of people's reasoning for why men aren't in the homes with their children. So because mommy was getting a government check, the check, the medical card, and the food stamps, in order for her to keep that, she had to keep daddy out of the house. He could come over and chill, but when it was time for the inspections or when it was time for the social worker visit, he had to be out because if they saw some boots, some size 14 shoes or some shit like that, then it was going to be a problem. They was going to cut her check off. She was going to have to prove that she wasn't making no money up nowhere else. So that's supposed to be the reason why the black man isn't in the home. That's supposed to be a big reason why the black man isn't in the home. And one of the reasons why black women are talking that I don't need no man shit and all of that. All right, now here's the problem I have with this. Among many problems, here's the biggest problem I have with this. If you got a man in the house, why should you need welfare? If you have an able-bodied man in the house, why should you need a system that guarantees your poverty? Because when you're on welfare, you are guaranteed impoverished. No way around it. You cannot be on welfare and have that as your only source of income and not be poor. You can't do it. It's guaranteed that you're poor. That's what it's for. It's for the poor. It's not for those who need a little help. If you need a little help, you got a little job, you need a little help, you can't get no government assistance. But if your ass is dead pop, you dead broke, you ain't got a pot to piss in, a window to throw it out of, or a friend to talk about it to, yeah, we gonna give you a check that's next to nothing. We gonna give you some food stamps that make people envious of you in the market, and we gonna give you a medical card because you're gonna be sick, you and the kids, because all this poverty. Somebody, yeah, okay. I'll be goddamn if I call myself a man, but the mother of my children gotta have a check, a government assisted check in order to take care of my kids. It's not going to happen. So what is a man good for if he's not providing some kind of financial support to at least keep you above the poverty line, to at least be able to put clothes on your back, to at least be able to afford a house or an apartment or some kind of domicile for you to stay in, you and your children, to at least be able to afford birthday presents, Christmas presents, a night out dinner or something like that. That's not even the American dream. That's regular shit. So you're not going to tell me that black men ain't in a home because mom had to get a welfare check. I'm not trying to hear it. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hear none of that shit. Because what kind of man are you, black man? If your baby mom got to be on welfare and it ain't because she lazy, what kind of man are you? What are you doing? What are you doing? You don't need no two-parent family if y'all gonna live in total poverty. If he got two working arms, legs, and a head with a brain in it, better get your ass out there and work. So, listen, y'all can agree with that, y'all can disagree with it, but I ain't trying to hear that. No, I'm sorry, I can't deal. That episode, it got under my skin. I was looking at this shit like, we was going for this? Because I'm not feeling it. Do me a favor, y'all. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Yes, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. Subscribe to the channel, yo. Keep the shit live. I said subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Do it real quick, like all of a sudden. Don't hesitate. Don't wait until the end of the show. You do it right now. That's how it's going to go. Because you never know. It's kind of late. You might fall asleep and you ain't hit the like button. Damn. Why you keep me waiting when you hate to have to do the shit devil like Satan? I'm just trying to make sure that we get this shit off and I'm late. And I came to the show 1 minute late, but yo, I'm still on time. So I'm going to say these rhymes. Yeah. I don't know what y'all think about that. Ain't no men in the house because of welfare. Get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry, man. Sigasala says, I think it was because he was too old. It was. Yeah, you saw that damn episode. Yeah. Yeah, they said the motherfucker was too. I was like, yo, what kind of bullshit? Yo, that totally undermines what union is. Yo, how can you have? They must have They must have just look, we gonna do this dumb shit. We gonna write this dumb shit, and it's going to totally go against what unions are about. The reason you have unions is so you don't have age discrimination. What you mean you too old to get a union job? No. Yeah, it was. Thanks, Seika. Because he was too old. Oh my God. Beginning and end says, what are you wearing? What benefit you wearing? What benefit you wearing these honestly? Well, I'll tell you in just a second. I'm gonna read these other comments and then I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Put name here, hold my noodle. Hello, how are you? Quick question. If gravity is really real, then why can't I drive my car backwards? What do you mean you can't drive your car backwards? Oh, you said if gravity is really real, why can't I drive my car backwards? Because it has reverse. Now, if you would have asked how come my car can't go up and down, because gravity deals with up and down, not back and forth. So, I mean, I see what you, I kind of almost in a way, a little bit see where you was trying to go with that. You just have to ask the question a little bit better, but work on it. I see, you know what I mean? Okay. Beginning, it says, why are you only talking about black people? I'm not black, but I agree. Well, I talk about black people because I am black and because I care about black and I'm pro-black to the motherfucking death, inside and out. I was born a pro-black baby. Doesn't mean that I can't get along with other races, but best believe everything that comes out of my mouth and my whole existence is geared towards the elevation of my people because we need help. Now, the reason that I can talk about what I was talking about was because that's part of the black experience and it gets on my fucking nerves. So that's why I was talking about that black shit. But don't worry, I'm going to be talking about some more black shit. And if you want to mix in some white shit, we can talk about that. You want to mix in some Latino shit, we can talk about that. You want to mix in some Asian shit, we can talk about that. And I mean all Asians, not just the chinky eyes. I mean, you know, the Pakistanis, the Indians, the Iraqis, the Afghans, like we can talk about all that. So we can talk about all that. Indonesia, all up in the house. Put name here, says, didn't that people end up where they are due to their own actions? I mean, you can look at it that way, but due to their own actions. Black people have a way of taking accountability in the wrong ways. Like where they should be placing blame, they're taking accountability. And where they're taking accountability, they should be placing blame. So we want to say that through our own choices, through our own actions, that's why we're in the position that we are today. But they're wrong. See, one thing you can't do about today is start today. You can't start learning today. You got to go back and learn some shit from before. Nobody gets a cold when they're all by themselves. You get colds from other people. Your interaction, it looks like that because it was cold outside and you didn't dress warm, it looks like that's why you got a cold, but that's not how it works. You get the cold from a virus, and the virus comes from somebody else. So somebody who may not have even gotten close to you affected you, and that's why you got sick. And that's why you can get sick in the wintertime, spring, fall, and summertime, because you get it from somebody else. And that's just like the chain of events that happen in life. So if you only start counting from where you are, then you're never going to get it right. You got to go back and start counting from as far back as you can find. And then you'll understand how patterns work. You'll understand how genetics work. You'll understand how cyclical patterns start to develop. you'll understand how history starts to repeat itself. And you'll also understand what it takes to break certain cycles. So individually, yes, it is because of the decisions that you make individually. But even individually, it's not all that individual, because you are an individual who has the experiences of your influences. So whoever taught you plays a integral role in how you think. But if you shake that all off, like, it don't matter what nobody else said to me, I know the difference between right or wrong. Oh yeah? Well, who taught you right or wrong? Because you weren't born with that knowledge. You weren't born with that concept, right or wrong. You didn't know. And people try to say, yes, you do. You know. No, you don't. Somebody came on the show before and said, oh, kids know from the time they are born the difference between right or wrong. Like, no, the fuck they don't. Like, remember the first time you ever said a curse word around your parents and you didn't know? You didn't know? You was cursing because you heard them curse. You didn't even know it was a bad word. They didn't pop each other in the mouth. And you said the word got popped in the mouth. Or your parents understood and they tried to sweep it under the rug. So you was running around here doing the fuck, singing the fuck song. Fuck, 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 fuck. Fuck, 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 I fuck, 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 I fuck, 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 I fucking fucking fuck, 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 fucking fucking fuck, 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 I fucking fuck, 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 fucking fuck, fuck, fucking fuck, fuck, I fucking 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 fuck. And your parents heard that shit and they listened to you for a good while, like, oh my God, we done effed up. Do we pop the child in the mouth? He ain't doing nothing. The little motherfucker is making music. We done cursed around this baby so much. Now he making songs out of let's straighten him out before he go to school and start singing this song. And the messed up part about it was you listen to the song until it's in its entirety before you stopped them. Like, yo, come in here. Yo, listen to him. Oh my God, no, he not. Yeah, you hear what he's saying? Yeah, I hear what he's saying. I fuck, 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 I fucky, fucky, fuck, I fuck, 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 fuck. You didn't know? Somebody had to teach you. Somebody had to tell you. Somebody had to instill in you so you would understand. All right. Mama Latina, what's good? Thanks for coming through, ma. Appreciate you. Varshay says beginning and end. If you don't like it, leave. It's his channel. Varshay be holding it down. That's what's up, ma. Dominic Jimenez says you're spitting facts, man. I'm trying. J-Dub says Lucifer, Beelzebub, Satan, Abaddon, Mammon. wait. Belphegor, Asmodeus. Okay. The absolute factual, my dude. Info spot 411. My man Ed from Detroit. What's good, man? What's good? Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Ed made me remember to do this shit. I didn't put did y'all know that the phone lines are open tonight? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. You can call in and get your issue tonight. You can speak on the mic and you can do it tonight. Go ahead and pin that message. You can call into the show. If y'all would like to call in and express yourselves, you want to get on the microphone, it's only going to be your audio. You won't be on video. Don't worry about that. We're not FaceTiming you by surprise. You call into the show and the number to call is area code 319-527-6199. That's the number to call. I said a 319-527-6199. Yes, y'all. I said a 319-527-6199. Yeah, get on the line. I said a 319-527-6199. Yeah, get your shine, baby. Get your shine, baby. Get your shine, baby. Get your shine, baby. 319-527-6199, baby. Call 319-527-6199. Press number 1, and that will let me know that you would like to speak, and then I will call you out by the last 4 digits of your telephone number. You can rock on and do the damn, do the damn thing. It's the Daily Go Get 'Em show all up in your area. Feel like a real man should. I hope y'all feel like real men and women should also. So we're talking about, do you need to make more money than your parents? Do you need to make more than your parents did? 319-527-6199. Now, somebody asked about these struggle beads. I was born in the 70s, 1970 to be exact, August 12th, 1970, you know? And I grew up as a teenager in the 80s. So, you know, there was a lot of struggles in the 80s. You know, it wasn't all music videos and Run DMC, Madonna, Whitney Houston, Lionel Richie, Prince, Michael Jackson. It wasn't all of that. It was that, but there was more to it. It was more than just personal computers and video game developments and bomber jackets and gold chains. But speaking of gold chains, we wore them. We wore big, long gold chains, big fat truck jewels back in the day. So I wanted to make a more tribal, spiritual necklace that represented all of my 70s babies who grew up in the 80s, who had to go through the struggles of just becoming a man and a woman in the 80s, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't sweet like that. You think the violence in America is bad now? Back in the 80s, that shit was off the chain, because you had the crack and you had AIDS. You know, so we couldn't get money, we couldn't get high, and we couldn't fuck freely. I heard she got that monkey. She got the what? She got the you got that monkey, and it don't come off your back. She got that Rock Hudson. She got the what? Yeah. She got that Liberace. She got the what? Yeah. She got that Freddie Mercury. She got the what? Yeah. She got that Arthur Ashe. She got the what? He got the what? You got that Howard E. Rollins. Yeah. Oh, man. Not the Howard E. Rollins. Yeah. Got the Howard E. Rollins. You know what I mean? Now, if he'd got that Magic Johnson, he'd still be here. But he had the Arthur Ashe. He had the Rock Hudson. He had the Rock. So, yeah. So these represent the struggle. I call them struggle beads. Struggle beads, baby. And I think they dope. I really do. Proud of my struggle beads. You know what I'm saying? Proud of them. And no, they are not sold in stores. The Best says, this guy sells crack. I do not. I smoke crack. And I'm high right now. And as soon as this show is over, I'm going to take me another hit. All right. J-Dub says, that's why so much rap music speaking hate comes from the home. It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. Abuse and neglect comes from the home. Carries out through the tough. And if it hits the music, it's dangerous. Okay. The music is a powerful and scary thing. If the message is wrong. I agree with that. I wear bones around my neck and I'm Irish. Well, cool. What kind of bones? J-Dub says, nobody going to snatch bones, but they're quick to snatch that silver and gold. That's why I ain't never bothered. You know what? You're kind of right about that. But people will steal anything that they like. That's the thing. So it don't have to be valuable if it's valuable to them. Like, you had it before, and now I have it. I have all. You have none. Before, you really all had some. Now I take it all, and winner takes all. Put a gun in your face, flashed it, and took it like you had mace. You ain't had no mace to spray, but I shot you in any way. I don't know. Anyway, we have a caller on the line. We got a we got a caller on the line. We got a we got a caller on the line. We gonna take them right now, and I hope that they say something good and they down. And I know that they are, because they something like a star. So they call in right now, and we gonna take it far. All right. Caller with the last number is 0297. Welcome to the Daily Go Getimism Show. Thank you for holding. What's on your mind tonight? What's good?
Hey, this is Ed from Detroit. My YouTube channel is InfoSpot411 in the chat.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what's up. What's good, man? What's on your mind, Ed?
With the topic, I like this line. It was from that old movie in the 80s, Easy Money. It's money can't buy happiness, but you can pick your own misery. I'm just, now I can't speak on behalf of anyone, but myself, I'm not like keeping up with the Joneses or whatnot, you know. As long as I'm happy and content with myself in life, you know, I'm not worried about, oh, my friend's doing a similar job like me and he's making another 20 grand or more than I am. And so I just don't get caught up if I make more money than my dad or my friend, you know, or my next door neighbor or whatnot, you know. Just be happy with yourself and know what your value is. And, you know, go enjoy life, man. You just give yourself a world of misery. Now, I'm not saying, you know, don't try to strive to achieve more with your goals in life, you know, when it comes to, you know, finances and making more money. But I don't really get caught up in trying to have a better car or you know, a larger income than somebody else.
No, I understand that. But when you think about, do you need to do better than your parents did? Like if your parents gave you a good life, if they worked hard, planned well, and did well for themselves, I don't think that there's anything wrong with wanting to duplicate that. Now, you may want to do better because maybe even though they did well for themselves and did well by you, and hopefully they did, you know, there still may have been some things that you could capitalize on for yourself. And your children may see some holes in your game that they can fill in for themselves. And as generations go on, you know, they you know, it just keeps rolling over. Now, if we reverse this question, and let's say we were saying, let's say if every generation did worse than their parents did, you know, so let's say your parents were living from pillow to post, being fed from hand to mouth, never really had anything. So before you came to the show, we were talking about how some parents struggle so hard when we were growing up, like they were always moving. They had no stability in the home. You know what I mean? Every 6 months or damn near every year or two, you know, they're packing up their stuff, moving to another place, maybe sometimes getting a place of their own, maybe sometimes having to move back in with the grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends of the families, love interests of the family, building no stability for the children. Children having never really getting a chance to build and cement lifelong friendships, you know, from childhood. You know what I mean? Like they may have friends in this part of the town, this other part of the town, out in the county, back into the city. You know, children really suffer because of that, because they don't learn consistency. And when you're consistently, if you were born to parents that are consistently inconsistent, and then you duplicate that, you know, it's going to cause problems for your children. They're going to have developmental problems and all that kind of stuff. So I don't see anything wrong with wanting to do better for your children, but it can be harder. Like before you came on, we were talking about how some parents back in the day it's seemingly easy, found it easy to pay for like Catholic schools or private schools and stuff like that if a private education was important to them. And nowadays, it can really be a hardship to try to, you know, put your kids in private schools. You know, even if you're doing well, you may not be able to afford it. You know what I mean? But I grew up with kids where if they graduated from Catholic school, there's almost no way they weren't sending their kids to Catholic school. It just seemed to work out that way. But And I don't see anything wrong with that. However, you may find it more difficult nowadays to be able to find the same type of salary or better than your parents had, but it may be important for you to do so. And like my dad always said to me and my sisters and my brothers, I want you to be smarter than I am, and I want you to do better in life than I did. And he did well, but he always stressed that he wanted his kids to do better. And I understood why. When I was younger, of course, you're not supposed to want anybody to be smarter than you or better than you. But I understood where he was coming from as I got a little older. Like, oh yeah, it's a representation of him when his kids do better, because that means that he did a good job. And my mom felt the same way and still does. So I get it. But it's not always, it's not as easy as it was before. When you and I grew up, we grew up at a time where you could get jobs easier. There were factories and there were plants and stuff like that. You could find a job. Even if you had a felony record, you could find work. I mean, now it's tough. It's a lot tougher. You have to learn a different way. There's still ways out here, plenty of ways, actually more ways than before. But you have to sort of be put on to some things because it's not like the knowledge is readily available to everybody. So that was more of where we were coming from, more than keeping up with the Joneses. We're talking about a family lineage. Just like if you are or were a college graduate, there's no way you're not going to encourage your child to go to college. Just no way. You know what I mean? Because you're going to see the benefit of it. You know what I'm saying? So, the same way, unfortunately, if you are a high school dropout and you feel like you did better than even some college graduates, you're probably not going to put a big emphasis on education, which is not good, because your kids might not be able to make it the way you did, in the way that you did. You may have had some lucky stars ascend upon you, and they may not.
Right. I was just thinking the same thing with what you just said right there. Is for somebody, let's say you dropped out of high school and made it in a trade or something like that, or somehow got hired in a factory and, was doing well, middle class. If they have a brain and they have a kid, say, hey, this is just me getting lucky. I don't want, this is not the path I want for you. I'm not saying you got to be, a cardiologist, but I want you to do something with your life, learn a good trade or go to college and succeed and do well in life. And I do understand a little bit and relate on your level from my own experiences as far as the survival, people that have grown up in the poverty, say, hey, I want to do better than what I had to endure in growing up, through childhood, my living with my parents that were divorced and being evicted from an apartment, being roomed over here and then moved over there, and just, happy if I had a shelter and I had food. Where here's a good example. When I went in the Army basic training, I had some guys in my platoon that were from Puerto Rico who enlisted in the military, just said, well, that was one of our only options because there's hardly any jobs over here, And then I had people in my platoon that came from Pittsburgh or St. Louis and major urban cities that grew up poor and were like, man, I never ate this good, when we go into the chow halls and, as well as middle class people. But yeah, I can understand that. But I also remember too, I had a friend, a really good guy. He was a car salesman, and his father was an attorney, and I forget what his mom did. They were really, successful and high income, but he was happy and content with what he was doing. So, I mean, yeah, just trying to, talk on some of the different things you brought up on that, for sure. Always, you'd be happy with yourself and, have goals in life. I just do believe that, don't try to chase an income or, trying to be like, oh, damn, my buddy over here, he's making $125,000 a year. I'm only making $65,000. I need to do something, and not be happy with life.
Yeah, I wasn't even going down that rabbit hole. Not tonight, because
Sure.
because that's a whole
Okay.
different story. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah. Different topic.
I
Go
just
ahead,
wanted to
yeah.
keep it in the family because one thing about your family lineage, anything that your parents did, you have the potential to do, but that can be the good things that they did, and it can also be the bad things that they did. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
your environment and things that happen in your environment, it's like nurture versus nature. There's some things that you
Yeah.
may be genetically programmed to do, and there are other things that you can be influenced to do. So all right, like for example, your experience in the military. I want to ask you a little something about that. Do you think? Okay, let me just ask this: what effect do you think the going into the military? How long were you in the military?
I was 3 years.
3 years. Okay, so you did one tour.
Yes.
All right, cool. So
Yeah.
So, what effect do you think that going into the military had on you? And what do you think? How do you think you would have? How do you think that you would have thought had you never gone into the military? Because you know how you thought before you went in. How do you think that you thought? What were your thought processes like when you finished?
The thing I'm thankful for, what I got out of it, or most thankful for I got out of it, is the discipline and values in life that I didn't have, and I didn't end up getting DUIs and knocking up women at 19 years old, like a lot of my friends got into doing after they got out of high school and get involved in dumb shit. So those things I'm thankful for. What I got out of it. The one thing that one of the drawbacks I saw with a lot of people went into with the military, just in general, is they lose a self is empowerment and some of the common sense thinking. They can't do shit without oh well, let me check with my supervisor. Let me do this. Oh, hold on. Let me see if the boss is there before just. God damn it, use a little empowerment. Think on your own for a little bit. But those are the things that I got out of it. I mean, I'm going way back when I went in. I graduated high school in '93, so I'm going back some years. It was either military or college, and I just didn't want to go to college. But I was young. I didn't have the appreciation for it. Not that it's everything. I mean, some people do well. They learn a trade and do that. But that's what I got out of it that I didn't have. When I graduated high school, and it's helped me through my life. It's kind of like, I think I might have mentioned this a while back. We were talking. Let me give you a great example. What I didn't understand, to me, it was no big deal when I was in. Line your boots up, your shower sandals, your PT shoes with your gym shoes, with your bedpost. Your bed's got to be made a certain way. I'm like, what the fuck is this? As long as they're on the bed, no one's going to trip under them. All this stuff.
Yeah.
It's that discipline that I learned. If you can't follow instructions and do shit the right way on the simplest of tasks, how is somebody like a management, a supervisor, let's talk now the employment world, going to expect you to carry out a serious task? Or just in general, how are you going to take something serious if you can't just do something small? I mean, that's the smallest of little things. So that's just one of those values when I speak of discipline and values. A discipline is like, okay, I can show up to work late so many times without, getting in any trouble, but I don't abuse that. That's meant for, oh shit, the goddamn freeway's closed down and I'm going to be late for work. Where that discipline I have is I have a discipline of always at least showing up to work 15 minutes early. If someone calls me and I tell them, hey, I'm going to help you move furniture, I'm going to show up on time, and I straight to my word, live my life with good character. So those are some things that I'm thankful for that I learned in the military. I'm not advocating for everybody to go out and go talk to some recruiter and go in the military by any means. It's not for everybody, but that's just my personal experience.
Well, there's a reason that I asked you that. And the reason that I asked you that is because first of all, the things that you talk about, I see the validity in all of it. I get it.
Mhm.
One of the things that the military teaches you, any military training teaches you, they teach you procedure. They teach you procedure. They teach you that there's a process, a chain of command.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just do
Mhm.
everything just because you want to do it or just because you think it should be done. You know, and even though it's hard to get an appreciation for it sometimes, you realize that having to consult with your superiors or whatever, it actually actually teaches you how to communicate better, because you can actually get it done, but you just have to make somebody understand that it's necessary to get it done and make sure that it's okay, because it's not always your decision, and you have to realize that the decisions that you make affect other people, and it can have a serious effect on other people. Just if you're talking about the military, you could be talking about the lives of your platoon. You could be talking about the lives of your whole company, or you could be talking about the lives of American citizens. You know, all of those people can be affected by the smallest decision. So I totally understand when you say that if you can't follow the small instructions, you're never going to be able to be trusted to handle anything really, really big, because you start small and get bigger. You don't get bigger and then work your way down. So did your dad go in the military?
Yeah, he didn't get a choice. He got drafted during Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a funny story with that. You'll get a kick out of this. He told me when he got drafted, and there was, close to 100 people that showed up at this hall or whatever, and then these tables were set up. So there was a couple of U.S. Army sergeants there, and they all thought they were going to the Army, and they did the old count off 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So when one of the sergeants went around, my dad was a number 2, and when he got done, he says, "Everybody, number 3, take a step forward." Step forward. All of a sudden, this door opens in the back. He goes, "This is Gunnery Sergeant so and so. Congratulations, you're in the U.S. Marine Corps." But they didn't know it wasn't just the U.S. Army. Any of the branches get drafted. Some were like, "Man, damn, I don't want to go no damn Marine Corps." And like, "Get in line over here," you know. But a different time, you know. The Vietnam War. I went in shortly after the Persian Gulf War, you know, in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So
when I speak of people real quick, when I mention loss of self-empowerment, I'm speaking more of some people that have made a career out of this, you know, been in like 10 years or longer. I'm not saying you just decide to do whatever the hell you want on your own willy-nilly, but some things are like common sense fucking task, and I'll do it. I'll notify a supervisor, but I don't always have to ask for every little thing. But I know that's one of the drawbacks that I've seen people have been in a long time. I'm just speaking of
you're talking about indoctrination.
Pros and cons from my own experience.
No, you're talking about indoctrination and institutionalization, and those aren't good things. I understand what you mean. You know, you should be able to think independently and be able to make decisions on your own. Now, I don't have any problem with that. But what I'm saying is, what I was trying to get to, even though I was doing it really indirectly, was that oh man, it's funny. They're gonna bang me for that, because I put a comment in the chat for Spooky, and I see that I think that what's the name of YouTube might have took it out because I told them to eat a dick. So since they took it out, they're probably going to demonetize my shit for that. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So I guess I have to tell them verbally, eat a dick, Spooky. But anyway, you know, my dad was in the military too, and so he carried a lot of the disciplines, and just like yours, you know, Vietnam. But he enlisted. He didn't get drafted. He enlisted. And and I know that it had a really big effect on his life. And even though he went into the military, he never encouraged any of us to go into the military. He didn't speak against it, but he wanted us to go to college instead of the military because, I mean, because he didn't have to go to Vietnam, but he almost did. Instead of going to Vietnam, he took medic training for Green Beret medic training, and his whole company went to Vietnam, and all of them died. So had he not been doing his Green Beret medical training, he would have gone and he would have been killed along with him, more than likely. So that always had an effect on him, so that's why he was like, if y'all want to go into the military, okay. But like it's a risk. You may not get as lucky as I did by making that decision. So there were a lot of financially he did well for himself. So I would be stupid not to want to make as much money as he did.
Right.
And I do. I want to make as much money as he did. I want to make more money than he did. But it has nothing to do with challenging him. It has more to do with, although my dad made a lot of money, he made a lot of money because he kind of had to, because he had a lot of children. He had a lot of children by different women. Whereas had he had, maybe not as many children as he had, but if he had the children that he had maybe in one household with one woman, he could have done a lot more, because his goal was always to become a millionaire. And he did, as far as worth is concerned. He may have been able to do it with liquid capital. You know what I'm saying? But he had to cut the pie in so many different pieces that it just wasn't possible that he could keep as much money in his pocket as he would have wanted to. But hey, that's you are a product of your decisions. So and my mom did well for herself too, even though she was more of a blue collar type, worked in a trade, and but she did well. But when you are raised in a certain type of way where you can respect the decisions that your parents made, of course, you wouldn't mind duplicating that or doing even better for your own children. Like if your parents were able to have, let's say, 5 children and raise y'all in a 3 or 4 bedroom house, you may want to have 5 children and have a 6 bedroom house. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gets their own. Everybody has their own space. You're able to do a little bit more. Finances are not everything, but this is bigger than finances, because I really want to take this. I want to take this to another area. Like the title of the show is, do you need to make more than your parents did? But I also want to talk about when you duplicate the things that your parents did, you can also take that farther than just money making or wealth. You can take it to health. Would you want to experience the health regimen or the health problems that your parents had? Like if you watch your parents be sick all the time, or maybe they smoked and they had all kinds of cardiovascular issues, maybe battle cancer. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that. You know what I mean? Of course you want to be better than that. But not everybody strives for that. Some people look at it like that's their destiny. Well, my dad had everybody in my family had asthma, so of course I'm gonna have asthma. You don't have to. There are other things that you can do to ward it off, but you have to learn those things. So there are times when we think that certain diseases are hereditary when they're really not. They're more of a environmental thing, more of a cultural thing. But it seems like they're hereditary because so many people in the family have them. And that actually applies to my mom's side of the family with those cardiovascular issues. But most of the people on my mom's side had tried smoking, and they all paid the ultimate price for it. All of them. You smoke, you die. That's the way it works in my family. So, of course, my mom didn't smoke. She's still alive. She outlived her mom. She outlived her dad. Other siblings that she had did smoke, and they didn't make it as far. So, when you think about the health of your parents, like you may want to do better than that. It's not easy watching your parents, going in and out of the hospital, be bedridden, lose their quality of life, independence, and things like that. Constantly have to depend on people, end up in a wheelchair, maybe not even at an old age. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. So when we talk about doing better than your parents, we can talk about way more than just money. We could talk about health. We can talk about social issues. We can talk about a lot of things. Now, whether something is better or worse is kind of subjective. I mean, I may look at, well, with health, it ain't that hard. You know what I mean? Either your parents were sick or they weren't. You know what I'm saying? Either they lived to be a ripe old age or they didn't. You know what I mean? Like if my dad my dad lived to be 84, and he was the healthiest man that I knew up until he got sick, and I never thought I would ever see him sick. He was actually sick for a much longer time than I knew about, but he kept himself up so well that it never looked like it. So I'm thinking like, I want to do better than that. I want to not only look healthy, I want to actually have the inside of me working the way it's supposed to, instead of just the shell looking like, it's like having a car painted that's painted and looks shiny and always washed, and rims are shining and everything like that, chrome and everything else on it is spotless, but the shit don't run. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna run. I mean, you'd be lucky if it starts off. It starts up. Trans. Yeah. Trans, battery, you know what I mean? Shit. You know what?
For the most part,
no, go ahead.
You can make an effective change to live a healthy life. Point case like with weight. Just because your parents or you've had family members, when they start hitting their 40s and in their 50s and, put on a bunch of weight, you could sit back and say, oh, that's just how things are. I mean, my Uncle Joe was like this, my dad, and then my mom, blah, blah, blah. Or you could say, you know what? I'm going to watch my diet. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to take care of my body. Just because I hit 45, let's say, or I'm going on 50, or I don't have to be like this. Yeah, you definitely can make an effective change. And then two choices, like you say, I mean, I made the mistake. I smoked for years. I don't smoke no more. But, things like that. Now, some things we have no control over, with cancer, and other things like that, that can, we have no power over some things that just grab us, it's unfortunate, but definitely you can make a change, and just say, no, I don't want to be like this. And then just know I got a proper diet, take care of myself. Yeah. I can live to 65, 75. I can live quite a few years going to my 80s and be in good health. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's always a way for you to make changes in your life, but that's a parental thing too. If you grew up with parents where you saw them make the necessary changes and adjustments in their life, that's gonna have an effect on you. So you can see that you don't have to just stay on the path that you are. You can pivot. You can make changes. You can make adjustments. You can rewind some things. You can speed up some things. You can shut some things down for a while. You can actually make an improvement instead of just standing on whatever it was, because you was keeping it 100 and ain't nobody gonna tell you what to do. That's actually not a good lesson to teach, but we do it. You know what I'm saying? So if you watch your parents humble themselves and actually do the things to improve things, while you would be a fool not to adopt that. You'd be a fool not to want to duplicate that. because one of the hardest lessons to be taught is that you do not have to stick with every decision that you made as if you're going to be graded on it. You can change. You know what I mean? There's some things you can do.
Yeah.
One thing, I hate to go into this politics thing, but since the election, I used to watch, and I say used to, I used to watch Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough and Mika, whatever. Yeah. So I used to watch them. And I swear to God, the day after the election, I'm talking November 6th, Joe Scarborough totally changed around his whole shit. The day before, Trump was fascist, Trump was Hitler-like, Trump was this, that, and the third. And on fucking November 6th, he got it right. Trump got it right. This is what the American people want. And Democrats need to do this. I said, ain't this about a bitch? And last week, this motherfucker went down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump, to kiss the ring, literally. Because Trump was talking about getting rid of MSNBC as soon as he takes the office of the president. And he means it. So they went down there to try to protect their $10 million a month $10 million a year that they make. So they made a decision. Now, even though I consider them to be total sellouts, because now you have to question them as a viable and reliable media outlet, because as you can clearly see, they're more concerned about lining their pockets than they are with making sure that the truth or the truth and feelings get out. But you still have to. I have to respect their decision to say, well, look, our fans ain't gonna pay us if we lose this job. So we may lose some of our following, but we got to do what we got to do in order to make it. So they went down there and kissed the ring. And I don't know if you saw Donald Trump clown the shit out of him for it. Like, guess who came to dinner today? Yeah. What? But hey, so you got to do what you got to do. So if you come from parents who realize, like, sometimes you got to stand on business, and sometimes you got to close the business and rebrand yourself. Hey, it is what it is. At least you have options out here, and there's nothing better than having options. Options will make sure that you're taken care of. So you don't have to paint yourself into a corner. So if you watch your parents paint themselves into a corner, that doesn't necessarily mean that you will do that, but that is the example that was set for you, and that's what you saw. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to do the same thing, or are you going to make some adjustments? Now, going into the military or other experiences like that, where you are also influenced by positively influential people, can change the way that you think that you were raised, and hopefully it doesn't have the negative effect of making you reject everything that your parents taught you or tried to teach you. Because sometimes things have that effect. You hear people bitching about their parents. Well, you didn't do this for me. You weren't there for me. Okay, sometimes it's valid. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes there's a little bit of belly aching. Sometimes there is some validity to it. Sometimes even when there is validity to it, it still doesn't mean that you have to. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cause a rift between you and your parents. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they probably tried hard to keep you on the right track and do their best. But humans are humans, and we can only teach each other what we know. So,
you gotta have goals. And like I mentioned earlier, I had a friend used to some years back. He was a car salesman. He was content. He was happy. I mean, he made a decent living. His father was I believe a cardiologist, if I'm not mistaken, or a neurologist, and I mean, really wealthy, but he was happy that's what he did, and there's no shame in that. I mean, you always want to strive to do, do as well or do better, but the main thing to me just is having good character and values and being happy with yourself. You have your goals and strive for it. Like what I like about you and the show, I did mention diversity of thought, but I find you to be a genuine guy. You're not fake. You're not phony. We talk politics or some social issues. We're going to disagree. Don't mean I hate you. I like you any less or like you any better. But that's one thing I look for a lot of people, whether it's co-workers or friends, people that are genuine and have good character, and that's what I see it to be. As far as the news, I'll just put it this way. Let's take Fox, MSNBC, and, like CNN, your major 24-hour news networks.
Yeah.
They're very biased where, here's a great example. Take when they had the Joe issue in the Trump trial. You put on Fox News, all you heard about is Joe Biden and his son and this laptop thing and all that stuff. And then if you put on CNN and MSNBC for a while, you heard them just on the Trump trial. You have to, kind of watch a little bit both of them. Me personally, what I tend to like, on the liberal side, I enjoy Bill Maher. He's kind of a moderate liberal, but I find him to be a little more genuine because he'll even call out the Democrats a liberal sometimes. And I like the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro. I'm not as big on Fox News with Hannity and Mark Levin. See, a lot of that shit is controlled too when they have the stuff that you say you could talk about this or ask this question and ask the question. I like Joe Rogan's podcast.
Okay.
And like with the Associated Press, you go to the Washington Examiner, you'll get a good conservative perspective. Go to New York Times, Washington Post, you'll get a liberal perspective on things. Hey, get both sides on the issue. Make up your mind. What you want. I'm not one to. We can disagree on certain things, which I'm sure we will. Let's say we brought up gun rights, gun control. I could make a good argument on gun rights. I'm conservative. I believe in it. And someone could be gun control. Don't mean I'm right or you're wrong. We just have a difference in opinion. I don't take anything personal.
No, I believe in guns.
2016, he did some song all about just how, I think it was called Terrified or something. The world was going to come to an end with Trump. So that's probably why Trump's big and back at him. But it's one of the things I don't like about him.
No, he's an opportunist. He's full of shit.
Just let shit go. I mean, Stephen Colbert's an idiot. I mean, he hates his guts. All he does is bash on him. And then Jimmy Kimmel, okay, nice show. But when he started crying and breaking down that it was at that night after the election, well, wait a minute. You sit here about 4 out of 5 days a week. You just bash Trump. Even when it wasn't even close to the election time, you bash him every night. Now I'm supposed to be like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for Jimmy Kimmel. He's crying at Trump's office and the world's come to an end. Give me a break.
No, I feel you. But, they're the corporate media. They're the corporate media. So,
there you go.
I mean, you can't get around it. And when you understand that, you can make better informed decisions. But yeah, I mean, everything they do is in the interest of capital. So you can never trust that you're getting the truth. You know what I'm saying? So we unfortunately they push us to sources like YouTube and independent bloggers and things like that, so we can get closer to a more organic source of truth and justice. The thing is, those sources go unchecked. One of the good things about the corporate media is that they have to have accountability. These other sources, they can kind of say whatever the fuck they want to say. And nobody, we don't know if they're telling the truth or not. We have to rely and hope that they're telling the truth based on what? Some video clips, sound bites, things like that. And that can all be edited and manipulated. You do media, so you know how this thing is done. It's not hard. You know what I mean? But we kind of have to incorporate all of these things. But I want to ask you about this sticking on the subject and talking about if we need to do better than our parents did. What if you were born to white supremacist parents, like KKK members or skinheads, neo-Nazis, or really radical far right radical extremist groups or something, militia groups and things like that. So you grew up being taught a certain doctrine that only centers on white people and their advancement and the demonization of all others other than white. Growing up in that type of environment, what if you're not feeling that? Because that would almost be like a betrayal. Even to say that if you were to say that I just don't think that being racist that way or prejudiced that way or being bigoted in that way, I don't think that that's a good thing, and it limits your ability to be able to do certain things in life. Sure, to more liberally thinking people, that it will sound like you're doing better, but to your family, to the people who got you to where you are, I could see how it could be looked at as a bad thing. Like you basically surrendered to the enemy. You know what I mean? So that could be a really tough decision to make. And the toughest part about it could be that, how is this better? It's different, but is it really better? Because it could inhibit your ability to come back home. So what if that liberal lifestyle out there doesn't work out so well?
Well, it gets into to me, this is the importance of diversity. This is, and the only thing I put above diversity is merit. But the importance of diversity, 90 seconds. You get it through college, you get it through the military, you get it from getting out of your damn environment. Just because you've been raised a number of years, let's say by a family, a white family in a trailer park, and they're, pretty much white supremacists, or they're just flat out racist. They could be neo-Nazis or whatever. But when people get that diversity, like the movie The Bronx Tale, I loved a couple of times when Sonny was talking to the young kid. He's like, who gives a shit about these young friends of yours? She's black, you're white, you like each other. Who the hell are they? But that gets the point of diversity, and you're like, wait a minute, all this stuff I've been taught, in around my environment, I always say good and bad people come in all colors. Then you start to understand that, not every black person's out there to rob you, and a lot of the ignorance that you've been indoctrinated with, just like I've had black coworkers be like, well, I don't know about going out there in those suburbs of Detroit, man. There's not enough black people out there. Well, seconds doesn't mean that, you can't go out there. You're not going to be safe. I said, as a matter of fact, you're more likely to be a crime victim than somebody in your community. But with your point, is that's the importance of diversity, is to chip away at the ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I mean it in the lack of intelligence, and it can come in a number of different ways. Like I said, military, college, and getting out of your damn environment and understanding stuff like, so just because somebody's a Puerto Rican or Pacific Islander, they're black, whatever, they might be Jewish, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, all this stuff I've been told is it's mostly it's a crock of shit, and it's stereotypes and whatnot, so that to me is when you solve that problem. I don't have an answer for everything, I gotta be honest with you, but that'd be the best answer I can give you.
No, we just talking about whether you would be better than your parents or not. Being better it can be so subjective. So one thing that isn't really subjective is a money thing. We're talking about financially, you either make more than your parents made or you didn't. You know what I mean? That's pretty much black or white. But when we're talking about when we start moving into more cultural and social lines, you know, when we're talking about a way of life that has outside of finances, we're talking about a different thing about, you know, whether we're talking about something that's better or worse. You know, is a decision that you have to make, and it can affect your ability to go back home in the same way as you came out. So in the in the comments, J Dub says Italians stick with Italian, blacks stick with blacks, Hispanics stick with Hispanics. It's only a problem when whites stick with whites, isn't it? Well, it's funny you said Italians stick with Italians. Like I didn't know that Italians weren't white. I think that's brand new to me. From what I know, Italy is as much as in Europe as anywhere else. And historically, they have a healthy little spot in the Bible. As a matter of fact, they kind of created this religion. You may have heard of it. It's called Catholicism. But besides all of that, it's not only a problem when whites stick with whites. See, we have to expand our understanding of things. We're not talking about whether you should stick with your own or not. Sticking, like supporting your own people, is nothing that anybody should have a problem with. There's not a problem with white people supporting other white people. That has been the American way. The problem comes when you lack appreciation for somebody else based on the fact that they're not white. The problem comes when you stop somebody else from getting a job because they're not white. The problem comes when you don't allow somebody to go to school because they're not white. The problem comes when you don't allow somebody to eat at a restaurant, to drink out of a water fountain, to use a bathroom, to be able to stay in a hotel, to be able to get a job, to be able to get a decent education, to be able to live without the threat of violence, the threat of let's just say terrorism. You know, that's the problem. There's no problem with white people supporting other white people. I don't even care if white people support other white people just because they're white. It's your right to do so. What shouldn't be your right is to freeze out everybody else because they're not white, and that has been the practice. And they have been the only ones in this country that have been able to practice that. Black people have not been able to freeze white people out of anything that they wanted to do. And I'm going to give y'all a little news flash. White people are safer in black neighborhoods than black people are. Real shit. It wasn't always that way, but it's absolutely that way now. And I'll tell you why. The reason that white people are safer in black neighborhoods than black people are is because we know the repercussions that will come to us if we harm a white person. We also know that if we harm a black person, we're kind of rolling the dice. We might get in trouble for it. We might not. But you're not going to get away with that. And it's going to affect all of the other black people if white people start coming into the hood and start getting hurt. The cops ain't having it. The government ain't having it. Nobody's having it. It's not that it doesn't work that way the other way around. Now you can say that I'm just belly aching. You can say that I'm trying to confuse the issue. Listen, facts are facts. Now you can go to statistics, you can go to history, you can just go outside and test it for yourself. But it's a fact. And honestly, many black people feel safer around white people than they do around other black people. You can judge that any way you can, but I can show you plenty of examples. Whether we do it by survey or whether we do it by actually going out and talking to people or just checking out how they do things. But I'm not trying to. It was definitely not my intention to turn this into a black versus white thing, because it doesn't fucking matter. We're talking about whether we should be like our parents or be better than our parents, and hopefully people who are listening can see that there are things that you have to take into consideration when you start talking about whether something is better or not. A way of life is different than how much money you make. How much money you make can determine your way of life, or your way of living, I should say. But that's on a financial level. It's very measurable. What's not so measurable are the way that you feel, the way that things affect you, the way that you are going to continue and interact with others. Those things aren't as measurable as something concrete, like what you can count up to. My dad made $50,000 a year. I make $100,000 a year. I didn't beat him, but I did better. Good for me. That's great. And but you know how well I took care of my health, how well I was able to communicate and form relationships with not just my family and my children, but with my neighbors, with my coworkers, with colleagues and things like that. These things matter. And it's harder to get these things and develop these things if you didn't come from that, if you weren't taught that. Because if you didn't get these things in the home, then you're going to have to find another source to get it to get them from. And you can find them in different clubs, organizations, playing sports, coaches playing sports does a lot towards improving relationships between different cultures, different races and cultures. There's no denying it. There's no fucking denying it. Same thing with the military. There are other ways and other sources you can get a different perspective of life from. It doesn't always have to come from your parents, but you may not make it to those places if you come from the type of parental background that blocks that for you. So, all right, man, we've done our 2 hours. It's time for us to get on about here. Go ahead. You can make your last statement, and then we got to go.
Oh, sure. One thing I've had a conversation before that and disagreed with some of my coworkers, people I know, is when I've heard like, oh my, my people's meaning like I'm black and they're black. Where I don't identify anybody as being and supporting anybody just because they're white, or someone supporting someone who's black. Now I can understand somebody support somebody for a reason, like, hey, we both grew up in the projects here. We worked our ass off to get out, or we went through similar struggles in life. In general, one thing that does get lost, yes, when you talk a lot of major urban cities, as you mentioned, the struggle in poverty, it also goes on with whites. I mean, like, I go in northern Michigan, it's a different type of poverty. I mean, people live in single wide trailers and living off of social services. So, there's some struggles. It's different. In a rural area, there's some differences, I should say.
Yeah.
But I identify somebody, if I were to say, like, somebody's my peoples, or, I do that based off of their character, their values. Those are people that I would consider, my friends and people. But I wouldn't simply just stand up for somebody just because they're Caucasian or they're Italian. I mean, I'm an American, but my bloodline is French and German. Just because someone says, I'm mostly French or I'm German. Okay, well, that's nice, but there's not much, a hell of a lot we have in common. Now, you have some of the same values in life, or, you're a person of good character, like I see myself as. Hey, you're one of my people. So that's how I see it.
Yeah. No. I'm not under the impression that all white people have money or that they all went to school.
Right.
I've grown up with white people. So I pretty much run the gamut. I've known, definitely those who were the bottom of the barrel and those who were very affluent. You know what I mean? Like, I've known.
Yeah.
Let me just put it this way. Yeah, my test sample is not limited in any kind of way. So I'm not speaking from that standpoint. I know that you can be affected regardless of that. So I'm not going to say that all poor white people are prejudiced and rednecks and you know and because they're not all like that. That would be just like saying that all white people who have a lot of money are super liberal and all. Hell no, it doesn't work that way. You are what you are, but a lot of times what you are based on where you come from and your environment and those influences. And the first influences that you have are from your parents. So whether you grew up in a housing project or whether you grew up in a trailer park, welfare is welfare. Poverty is poverty.
Yeah.
Money is money. Either you have it or you don't. It's not like white people can just go to the grocery store and say, well, listen, I'm white. Give me some credit that I'll never be able to pay. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. But when you look at your own life, okay, if I grew up in the projects, do I want my kids to grow up in the projects? Fuck no, I shouldn't want that. And my parents shouldn't want that either. It's a clear example of a financial struggle and a lifelong hardship. I mean, when you live in a trailer park or when you live in the projects, you are exposed to poverty all around you, in front of you and back of you, side to side, up and down. And what comes along with poverty and lack of education? Violence. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white. There's going to be violence because when you have lack of education and you have and you have limited financial resources, then you have to start doing other things to try to generate some money and try to be able to survive. And unfortunately, violence comes along with those limited options, because those options, either you're going to start selling something so people can get high, or you're going to start getting high yourself. And all kinds of shit comes from that. You know what I mean? And not just that, but you're going to get that from that, So it's and you don't want your children, you probably don't want to duplicate that. And you don't want your children to have to duplicate that. Even people that I know who grew up with drug dealer parents, and their drug dealer parents might have done really well for them, but they also had to deal with their parents being incarcerated sometimes, having to run from the law sometimes, having to run from rival gang members and all that kind of shit. It ain't sweet like that. Just because the money is there doesn't mean that the safety and security is there. Normally, it means the total opposite. So, do you want you may really love the material wealth that your parents had, one or both of your parents enjoyed, but you may really have a lot of contempt for the lack of safety and the dangerous situations that you were constantly put into. Do you want that for your children? Even if you follow that for yourself, do you want your children to have that? Now, you don't have to look any farther than the way that earlier in the 20th century, in the 1900s, you had Italian gangs, you had Irish gangs, you had Jewish gangs, and all of those gangsters, they intermingled with each other. And the Italians seem to have more rollover. Like, if daddy was a gangster, if granddaddy was a gangster, then daddy was a gangster, and the grandson was the gangster. The Jews didn't do that. The Jews, they kind of cut off the cycle. Like, we know, all right, we getting money here, but no, we not doing this. You know what I mean? We're not gonna foster that for the next generation. And for the most part, they successfully got out of the game. So when you talk about the Meyer Landskys and people like that, you're talking about earlier in the 20th century. You're not talking about those types of people later on in the century, where with the Italians, they pretty much kept it going until RICO and what were those laws that shut them down?
Well, yeah, you just touched on basically the big one was the RICO statutes,
Mhm.
which they used to go after like the Gotti, was
Mhm.
it Gambino, and a lot of
Mhm.
the organized crime. That
Yeah.
was the whole thing with the RICO, and
Mhm.
it opened up law enforcement to get a lot of warrants to tap phones, to
Mhm.
put wires in buildings, and made it easier to infiltrate. For example, with the Italian crime syndicate.
Mhm.
Yeah, that took care of that. But as before I take off, I was going to say too on the suggestion for the topic for a show, and why I always enjoy it. Maybe sometime next week you fit it in. Was first and second date red flags, but what I enjoy is it's not so much like in the sense of a deal breaker, but just things that like a red flag goes up and you're like, oh, for example, um, I've had this happen a couple times. A woman, sometimes it could be a guy, but texting and then being on the phone, like, oh, it's just my sister, so so. That's a big red flag that they're just not that interested in me and then valuing my time.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean it's going to be a complete deal breaker, but if I see that like on a first or second date, that's a big red flag to me because see, I've been on plenty of dates and I've been with women when it's like, oh no, okay, I'm here with Ed. We're over at TGI Fridays. We're over here at Outback Steakhouse.
Mhm.
Cell phone goes off. It goes in my purse. I'm here for an hour. I want to have some nice conversation, and we go back to her place or my place or whatever goes on with the evening.
Mhm.
But when I see a woman who's constantly on the cell phone, that's a big red flag to me, a deal breaker. But I always enjoy women and men, some women could call in your show and just learning some new things like, damn, I never thought of that before.
Mhm.
But I always find that to be a fun topic.
Okay. Yes, it sounds good. It sounds good. And it really is a social issue when it comes to dating. I've heard a lot of people complain about that. She was on her phone the whole time. She might have been checking her TikTok account. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Definitely not here in the moment. It is. Well, a red flag can be anything of concern. It doesn't necessarily, just like you said, it doesn't have to be a deal breaker, but it's a cause for concern. Like, we might, we might have to revisit this issue. At least have a couple of words about it. So yeah, I can dig it. We can get into that.
Cool, man. I appreciate it because I always find it to be a fun topic, and I enjoy listening from others and what they got to say on that. But anyway, hey, thanks for having me on. I enjoy your show as always, man.
Yo, same here. Have a good night, man.
Okay. Yeah, you too. Bye.
Good stuff, my man. Info Spot 411 Ed from Detroit. You know what I mean? People from the D always hold it down. My people's from the D. Detroit, Michigan. That's what's up. All right, y'all. We're going to do these birthday shout outs and then we're going to get on up out of here. So we have some birthday shout outs. Some people were born on this glorious November 22nd, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special, because they are special, because they are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They get number one out the box. Karen Renee McIntyre. No relation, but what up, cuz? Happy birthday to you. And also Takia Divine. Happy birthday to you. And Sonia Jarman. And also Kareem Kadifi Bay Muhammad. Happy birthday to you. And Miss Rocky Hunter. Happy birthday. And she's raising money for the Bakari Foundation. And also Freddie Peace Asapka. Asakpa. I'm sorry. Happy birthday to you. And Marie Jain. Happy birthday to you. And Nana Adwo Blessing. Happy birthday. And also Triola James and Kiki Kiadatu Bijou Jalaba. Happy birthday to you. And that's last but not least. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all And I hope that today finds you all a good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious November 22nd, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out. Rock on and do the damn, the rock out. Rock on and do the damn rock out. Rock on and do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours. And I said, go hard, go for yours. And yo, mommy and daddy made a certain amount of cash, and I don't know if it's ever going to last. Will I ever be able to pass the same kind of classes they did back in the day? But I know my ass has got to get up and got to go to work, and I'm not trying to get out here to get my money taken and jerked. But it hurts when I see that I can't make the same kind of living for Thanksgiving. And you know that's next week, and I'm going to speak to y'all on that day and have a whole lot to say. But the way that we live our lives, it has a lot to do with what's going on in our minds. But I know lives and minds don't rhyme, but I'm going to make it rhyme today. And yo, listen how I do it this way. Yo, I think about the sky and I think about the ground. How come I'm still around? A lot of people in my life didn't make it. They was out here and they was chances that they had to take, and I know that if they were still here, then they would still smoke and still drink the same beer, but they got to rest in peace, and I got to live my life right now. And I say the least that I'm going to do is honor the ones who came before me and you, because that's what I do. Yo, you too? Do you feel it? Does it get under your skin? Does this appeal? Does it make you feel good from your inside of your bones to the point where you say, leave me alone? Yo, I own a lot of things. Deal with a lot of royalty, a lot of kings. In the Bing is not where I'm trying to stay. I'm going to make sure I stay out of jail because that's not my way. My daddy didn't be locked up. He never did penitentiary time. And I know that I'm not going to do it either. I'm going to stay right out here in these streets, and I'm going to always make a couple of dollars still competing. I'm going to do this show each and every day of my life. And if I ever stop doing it, you know I was tripe. And you know there must be some kind of trouble going on. Because if I'm not going to be here tonight, then I warn you, don't listen to the show until I get back. But do everything you got to do in the meantime and act like you know, and this show will still go on. So I want to thank you for y'all coming through. Yo. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death, resuscitate y'all, and love y'all right back to life. We will be back tomorrow, which is more like today. We will be back 1 p.m. for the Urban Therapy with Sun show, between 1 p.m. and 1:30. You know, I got to get some sleep. I'm tired. You know what I mean? Had kind of a rough day. I'm tired. But we will be here 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, give me between 1 o'clock and 1:30. I need that little grace period between 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 1:30. And we will be here. Going to be a hot topic tomorrow. So make sure y'all come on through, because tomorrow is more like today. So I hope to see y'all there. Other than that, thanks for coming through, y'all. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. Blog Talk, we going to get you out of here. Yeah. And for my YouTubers, you know just how we do, but thanks for coming on through. See you on the other side, my boobers. 1, 2, on the other side, my boobers. 3, 4, you know we do it for sure. And I'm Cheryl Halsey. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. Manifest Reality. I just wanted to make sure that everybody, you too, Emily. I saw that little dig. I ain't mad at you though. Love is love. I hope to see you there too. Get your ass up on time. Peace, y'all.